welcome. Joining me today on Spiritual Invitation is Phil Liquori, and he's here to share his compelling spiritual experiences. Now, Phil grew up in New Haven and always felt attached to his church. He worked as a Sears appliance repairman for 37 years. He is concerned that our country is losing its soul. Phil is the author of the book, Yellow Roses, which is about the greatest generation. Phil, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Wow, country losing its soul. That's pretty powerful.
Well, if you watch the news and see what's happening with the drug problems and the corruptions, yeah, it's not like it was.
It's collective. It's like collectively we're losing our soul.
When I think of the greatest generation, what they went through, a depression, and then they had to fight a war. And then they came back and built this country. And it looks to me like it's, in my opinion, it's dissolving.
That's a good point, that type of soul. All right, so let's begin with your spiritual journey. How did it start for you?
I guess one day I was working and I looked around and I said, there's got to be more to life than working, getting up, raising your children. But now my kids are grown. I have 3 sons, and there was something that was missing that I couldn't figure out what it was. And that's how I realized I'm lacking something, and I went searching for it.
So tell us about the rosary beads.
Well, my son was in the Navy, and he was over in the Mediterranean, and he went to Rome. He stopped in Rome, and he went to the Vatican, and he bought 2 rosaries. He gave one to his mother and one to my mother, his grandmother. And I was raised to pray the rosary. I was raised in the church, and I love the rosary. We used to have to say it every day after dinner. But anyway, I wasn't feeling good, and I went to the doctor. I wasn't sleeping well, and I started on a daily, every day I would start praying the rosary. And then I didn't have a pair at the time, and I used my wife's, what my son had given her. And one day on the way to work, I suddenly realized that the rosary beads, the metal holding all the beads together is a silver color. They all usually are. If they're metal, they're silver. And suddenly I realized that the metal was gold in color. And I remember reading, if you're praying the rosary and it changes color, it being called. So that woke me up in a hurry. But I called my mother, and I said, Mom, you got the rosary that Paul gave you? And she said, yes. I said, I'm coming over after work. I want to see it, because I didn't believe that this could happen to me.
Changed,
yeah.
Right.
So I went over after work, and I kept mine in my pocket. And I said, after we talked, I said, let me see your rosary. And I laid them out on the countertop by the sink. And I reached in and I took mine, and without looking, I spread them out the same way. The same rosaries. Hers were still silver, and mine had turned gold. And
I never heard that before. That's really interesting that if it changes, you're being called.
Well, now I know, since now I started studying on the apparition site in what was then Yugoslavia. Now it's Croatia. They split the country up, but it was under communist control. And I decided I had to go. And
so tell people what's in Croatia.
Well, it's an interesting story. When we got there on Yugoslav Airlines, it's different at the time. Anyway,
How long ago was this?
Pardon me?
How long ago was this that you did it?
1950, August 1950, 1990, August 15th. We went there for 10 days for the feast of the, what was the feast of the Ascension of our the Blessed Mother. That's what it was, August 15th. We got there, and we landed in an airfield that was not really, it must have been a military airfield because there was no tower, nothing there. And once we landed, military soldiers came aboard the plane, and they told us all to sit. They went up and down the main aisle of the plane, and they found who they were looking for.
Oh, wow.
Of course, they took them off. They all had these Uzis, machine guns, whatever you call them. And took them off, and then more soldiers came and big trucks, and they lined up in a column. And we were told to get off and walk between them into this, what appeared to be an abandoned building, flat roof, mind you, of an old gas station that was shut down. And we were delayed there for over an hour. The only thing that was in there was a Coke or a Pepsi machine. There was nothing else. In the meantime, it's surrounded by the military, and a helicopter came down and just circled. I could actually see the pilot's face. He was that close to the ground. And then after a good hour or more, we were allowed to leave. Whether they went through our luggage or not, or maybe they were looking for somebody else, I don't know. But then we did, it was a 3-hour ride, and we ended up, got to Medjugorje, the little village.
And so Medjugorje, I never heard of it before. So Medjugorje, tell everybody what this is, because you had told me that up to in your past, for many years, whenever you traveled overseas, you would always go to apparition sites.
Yeah.
And then this all happened with your rosary beads, and so here you find yourself being called to Croatia, to this place called Medjugorje. And what is Medjugorje? What happens there?
Well, the Blessed Mother started appearing, I believe, in 1981 to 6 young people. I joined a prayer group in Guildford, and they had all been to Medjugorje. Of course, my interest perked up, and I said I had to go. Once we got there, at that time, it was an old dirt road type of village. It's a hamlet, and they grew grapes for wine and tobacco. And that's what they lived on. But you could see the goats walking down the main street. It was that small of a village. It was absolutely beautiful. And we would walk the fields. But we went to the spot where the Blessed Mother first appeared, and then she appeared in the church, and then up on the hill, across mountain. And the villagers were told to add to their homes. And because people would start coming.
By Mother Mary?
Pardon me?
By the Blessed Mother?
By the Blessed Mother.
They were told to add to their homes because
Yeah.
they knew people were going to start to come.
And they did. And
The pilgrimages started.
yeah. And we stayed at a beautiful house. It's a 3-story basement, second floor, ground level, second and the third floor. And our room was upstairs. Our bathroom was at the end of the hall. The sad part was when you pay to go there, the communists took 60% of whatever you paid the homeowner,
right.
and they only kept 40, and they fed you, and they took care of your sheets and pillowcases and whatever. And that was an experience
No,
in
I bet it
itself.
was. Now, how often does Mother Mary appear or give her messages?
Every day.
It's every day.
Every
She's
day.
been doing this every day since 1981.
1981. Some of the visionaries only get to see and hear her once a year, maybe on their birthday or Christmas.
So is it specifically the visionaries that see her or hear her? Some of the visionaries that are there, or just the general public?
Oh no! It's hard to say. I know some priests, because it wasn't ever approved as yet by the Catholic Church, but I know priests who have gone there incognito. But then you'd see them on the altar because they were touched. But they don't say anything, at least in my opinion. I've talked to certain priests, and he said, well, it's not approved. But, he
It's
went
not
there.
approved, like officially this is
By the
Mother Mary
church.
appearing there, but everybody really believes
Oh, yes,
it.
there's no question. And I think it was the third day I was there. That's when I first heard voices.
So you started hearing voices yourself.
It took a third day. You went to mass every day, whatever, and you went to all the apparition sites in the villages because the police were chasing after the kids. The people would put up crosses where she first appeared, and then the police would come in, rip them all down. During the night, they go back and put them all back up again. It was an interesting sight. But by the third day, I had been put on this medication because I wasn't sleeping, and I had this feeling to get up from the breakfast table and go to church right now. And it's a funny thing because when I say how it's more modernized now, they have hotels, but the two cows lived in the first floor.
And
that's where we got the milk. But I had this urge to get up and go now. And I walked out probably 100 yards or so, and I made the turn. And I could see the church in the distance. And that's when I first heard a voice, and it said, "Stop taking your medication." I thought, what a silly thought. But I took it. I went to the center. There's a fountain. People filled their water bottles up. And the day passed like any other day. It was really great. But this next morning, I had that same feeling. I had to get up, skip the coffee. I got to go. I said, I'll see you guys when I get to the church, when you come to church. This time I got to the same spot. And this time the voice was much louder.
Yeah, I want you to
and
listen.
Stronger. And I turned around to look because I actually thought somebody was talking to me. And I never took the medication again.
Wow.
But you can't tell if it's a male or female voice.
Right.
You're being told to do something. And you did. You listened.
You listen. Yeah, you're being told from above.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know the difference, too. You know the difference, I think, whether it's a real voice or if it's not some... It's not your voice.
No, it's not.
It's not your voice.
I cannot describe it.
It comes from beyond.
But I actually turned to look, and there was nobody there. But I did hear singing, which was unusual. They were singing songs to the Blessed Mother, prayers and whatnot. I didn't know where it was coming from. I later found out. There was 3 or 4 young girls, probably 12, 14 years of age. They lived in that house in the corner. And they were having little cushions, which I found out before we left. I said, "Who lives here?" Because I keep hearing singing, and they were great. Their voices were great, and that's when things started to happen. The spinning sun. If you know anything about Fatima, the spinning sun, and in my case, and I still see it today. If I want, I took it home with me. But when you first look at the sun, it's very bright and it starts to hurt your eyes, and all of a sudden, to me, a host appears. The Eucharist appears, and it blocks out the strong red burning sun. And then it moves clockwise. The flames are all behind the Eucharist, and the flames are from the sun are clockwise, and they're running back and forth. And then the Eucharist starts to beat like a heart, thump, thump. And the first time I saw it, I couldn't believe it. And if I get a little upset watching the news, I go out and look at the sun that sits there.
Yeah,
So
that's really, I mean, that's something. Now, what were some of the messages? What have been? I mean, she's been speaking every day since 1981, but I'm just curious what type of messages that she has been given. I mean, is there a way of looking it up, all her messages?
Oh, yeah. I've got several messages. Well, a lot of
you can,
the Medjugorje magazine.
Medjugorje
you can order
magazine.
it, and it's been going on ever since. And they have the messages constantly,
wow,
and you can get them all if you want. I started getting in, but then I couldn't keep. Every day you couldn't keep up with all the messages, and they were all different. To my dear children, you know, and it was very moving. But the thing that really got to me was the number of people that were there.
And continue to go, I imagine.
Oh, there were thousands of people. One of the miracles I experienced was that we're saying that the messages came every day, and in Croatia, the Croatian rosary was being said. You said it in English, but you say it, they say it, and by the second or the third mystery, these apparitions were taking place in the tower, the twin tower, St. James Church, and the left tower, the window would be open. And this particular day, and it happens all the time, it's the first time I experienced it, the birds were starting to sing. They were accumulating in the trees around the church. And I said, my God, I never heard so many birds. As it turned out, it got louder and louder. And I said, my God, it's hard to even say the rosary with all these birds. There were thousands of them. Now, when the window closes, Blessed Mother appears to these children. The window closed, and not one bird peeped.
Wow, yeah.
All the birds, and we all looked at one another and realized there were thousands of, tens of thousands of birds. As soon as the apparition was over, which takes generally 10 or 15 minutes, the window opens up again and all the birds start singing again. And this happened every day, every day.
And just to be clear for my own sake, she appears to the children? Okay, so if you're there as a...
Well, some people experience...
Some people say they've seen...
I was called one night to go. It was late. It was almost midnight. And I was, again, told, go to the church. Now, everybody's getting ready for bed, and I said, I got to go to church. My wife said, why are you going to church? It's midnight. I said, I got to go. So I took off and left. I walked. It wasn't that. It took me 15 or 20 minutes to get to the church. And they say when you go to, you should go to confession. There were these small outbuildings, and the signs in front said English, Italian, French, all different nationalities. There were two that were still hearing confessions at midnight. So I'm going to sit in this well-lit place. There was white stones and two park benches. And I sat there waiting, and suddenly this very lovely young lady came over. I would say she was in her mid to late 20s. And she came over and introduced herself. And I introduced myself and what brought you here. She had said that she was there in May. She had planned to go on a cruise, and she couldn't explain why she ended up there. And she had a vision of the Blessed Mother. And the Blessed Mother said, you will come back here for the Feast of my Assumption. And she says, and here I am. But my mother and my aunt came with me because they were concerned about me, that I was sort of losing my mind. And so they're here with me. And I says, well, that's good. She says, I came out of the church. I said, Mother, here I am. And the mother appeared about 4 feet off the ground. And she said, yes, my child. And I got it all written down. But she said, my mother and my aunt are here. And they don't believe that I'm seeing you. Can I go get them? So I thought, well, okay, I'll listen. And I said, did you get your mother? She said, yeah, we were staying at the house over there. So she brought them out, and she said, Mother, here's my mother and my aunt. I said, was that right? It's because I didn't believe her. Which is, it was strange. And I said, where's your mother and your aunt now? And she kept talking to me, never took her eyes off me. And she said, they're right there. And she kept talking. And I'm like, why she keep talking? And I glanced over. And what I saw, I couldn't explain.
Really?
I saw two women, and they appeared to be sisters. The younger sister had her head on the shoulder of her older sister. And she had her arm around her. When sisters love one another. And this woman has not stopped talking. She's completely ignoring me. Because I'm saying, that cannot be your mother and your aunt.
So they were in spirit form?
They were my two aunts.
They were what?
My two aunts.
They were your two aunts?
My Aunt Mary.
Really?
And my Aunt Julia. And she's still talking.
Wow.
And they've been dead for over 20 years.
Wow.
And then I glanced at her. I looked back and they were gone.
Yeah.
And
wow.
She told me certain things would happen to me when I got back, and they would last at least 2 years, maybe more. And she told me, but I'm still in the daze. And we shook hands. She left. And then I sat back down, and I felt the hand on my head, and she said something. I got up to thank her. She was gone.
Right.
I don't know who it was, but when she said, that's my mother and that's my aunt.
Right.
My Aunt Mary's daughter was 27 years old when she passed away with leukemia.
Oh.
So I'm trying to tie it all together.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
so why do you think you saw them? Was it just to move you along on your spiritual journey?
I tried to figure it out. And you can't talk to somebody about that.
No, I know.
They think you're
it's
crazy.
Pretty, right. No, it's pretty powerful.
But I tried to figure it out, and then I was told again that I would be told certain things would happen to me. Well, as we stayed there 10 days, and the last day, the war started over there, and it happened while we were there, and I could see the flames off in the distance. And, but we left from Dubrovnik, which is a beautiful city, real ancient city. We flew out the next day, and I was just totally at peace. I had not a care in the world. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't thirsty. And from then on, my life changed.
I bet it did.
Quite a
yeah,
bit.
I bet.
I started hearing voices again.
Okay.
And that's when cutting the grass up on the hill there in Norfolk, when I lived in Norfolk. Cutting the grass, I was told, start a prayer group. I said, oh, here we go again. No, there's nobody there. I said, I'm not starting a prayer group. You're good, start a prayer. And I shut the engine off, and I just sat there, and I'm not going to argue with you, but that's how it
This
comes.
isn't what I want to do.
No, I don't want to do this.
This is not what I want to do.
And the good thing you have, prior to this happening, we had met some visionaries out in Scottsdale, Arizona. We had gone out there, my wife and I, we met these people. And they were coming to Long Island to visit somebody. And I said, well, if you're going to be in Long Island, why don't you come to Connecticut? So we had gone to Long Island. And there's another story for another time. But they did come, and I made arrangements to pass at the church that if we could pick a particular night, could we have this visionary come? She stayed at my house for the weekend. And the priest came. He wanted to check her out.
Sure.
And he says, I can't find anything wrong with her. So, she said to me, how many people do you think will be there? I said, well, maybe 30 people, relatives and friends. So she said, well, whoever's there is meant to be there. Well, we left the house, we got to the church, and the parking lot is full. I said, it's Friday night. They must be having a wedding rehearsal. The church was packed. I couldn't believe it. And the priest said the Mass, and she came out about 8 o'clock, and she read a particular rosary, beautiful. I've got the book at home, to open up your heart. I would say before we finished that rosary, people were just crying.
I imagine that the church felt differently. I imagine the grace that was there and the...
I don't know where all these people came from, but I remember there were miracles that took place.
But obviously positive thinking and believers. I mean,
I guess.
Curious,
well, it was out of our control. We had nothing, nothing to do with it.
Whatever's supposed to show will show.
And I had a relative, an uncle there, who used to love to play golf. And I'm watching him, and he passed out onto his daughter's lap, Marianne, and she picked him up, and he straightened out. So about a week, and I'm going to skip what happened to some of the other people, but I went over to his house about a week later, and I says, how do you feel? Yeah, he says, miracles take place. He prayed over me. He says, I went there hoping that I could go back to play golf because I can't raise my right arm anymore. I could raise my left hand up here, but my right hand I can only raise.
And he kept going up.
He didn't want to believe it.
Right.
He was healed.
Yeah, that's something.
And then we got phone calls from other people, and we didn't get out of there till around midnight. She prayed over everybody. I remember my son showing up late, was his wife, my daughter-in-law, and my grandson. He says, Dad, what's going on? Are they recharging their batteries? I said, give me the baby. Give me little Philip. Go check it out. And the two of them walked hand in hand. And the visionaries watching them come up. She put her hands on both their heads. They both went down.
Oh, wow.
They got up maybe a minute or two later, a couple of minutes later. And my son staggered all the way back to me. He said, Dad, I feel like I'm drunk. I can't walk straight. And I started Yeah, he got hit with the Holy Spirit.
He got hit, yeah. Listen, this has been so amazing. I'm sorry to say we're at the end of the program,
Wow, that went fast.
I know. But I'd like to ask you, how do you define spirituality?
Well, I looked it up in the dictionary, and it's when you separate the material things of life. It didn't answer my question, though. It didn't answer what I was looking for. You separate the material things of life, and your spiritual life becomes more important. Nothing else matters. I found, in my case, I would get these nudges if I'm going down a particular street, and if I'm at total peace, I get a nudge to go left instead of right, and I wanted to go right, but if I listen to the nudge, something good happens. Dreams, I'm spoken to in my dreams. Once you go once you accept the Spirit and you open your heart, it's like you grew inside, and you're totally at peace.
Yeah.
I used to worry about everything. Now it's nothing seems to bother me. And if somebody asks me a question, I try to explain to them. They walk away. They don't believe you.
Yeah.
But I got no problem with that. I know what's happening inside me, and it's been great.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
I really, and I've learned about Medjugorje, and I want to go. I mean, Croatia's on my bucket list, and now I know about this fabulous place. So,
when I get home, I got to look, but I've got some magazines. I'd be happy to send them to you. And then you could order them, or whatever you'll do. They've been on. They get all the messages.
Oh, I would love them. Thank you. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Thank you for coming. All right, so I want to thank you for watching. Feel free to watch this episode again or all the past episodes just by going on my website at carlaaugustin.com. Also, you can check us out on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and you'll never miss an episode. I want to thank everybody who's been so supportive, and you write in and leaving voicemails. It's really been wonderful, and it's so encouraging to me on my journey here with the show. So again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Carla Augustin. This is Spiritual Invitation, and I'm encouraging you to explore your spirituality. Thank you.